Hey guys, what's up? This is Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video. This time I'm going to be discussing a topic relating to the upcoming Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon. If you guys are interested in more news and discussion on Transformers Robots in Disguise, Transformers 5, or the Transformers Age of Extinction toy line, then please check out my playlist and channel where I also have over 20 Transformers stop motion videos, some of which are previewed here. But for this video, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts and expectations for Transformers Robots in Disguise. Now, I had previously done a video similar to this, but that was back when we only had a few of the character designs to look at and that first look trailer that was released. And I want to give thanks to user Ethan Simonson, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for basically suggesting that I do an updated expectations and thoughts video, basically due to the fact that we have, trailers and previews out now, and also we have the bios available, so I thought this would be a good topic. We have way more information on the show now, way more material to make predictions from, so we're not just taking shots in the dark at this point. We can get an idea of what the show's going to be like, so I thought it was a good idea to do an updated video. So thanks for the suggestion. I really appreciate it. And with that said, let's get started. So as said, we have a full-length trailer for the series now, along with 2 video clips that are a good enough length and they give us an idea of what the atmosphere and character relations of the show are going to be like. If you haven't seen any of those clips or the trailer yet, then I'll post links to them in the description below, and you could go check them out and then come back and finish up the video. But from what we do know about the show so far, what's been revealed, it seems like most people are really skeptical about the show. Or to put it lightly, it seems like there's a lot of mixed opinions about it. Basically, it's not like we generally have a positive consensus about it. You have a lot of people who don't like the animation, don't like the fact that it's going to be a sequel to Prime when it seems so kiddie. But you do have some people who are trying to be optimistic about the show, who seem curious, as to, what's the story going to be like, what's it going to be like with Bumblebee in charge of the Autobots rather than Optimus, and all those kind of things. Personally, I would say that I definitely fall into the side that is a lot more skeptical about this show. I'm still trying to be optimistic, but I'm really skeptical about it. I don't have a ton of uncertainty about what it will be like, but I have some pretty good ideas, and I just don't like the looks of the show overall. So I'll just kind of do a quick rundown of a lot of the aspects of the show and what might be positive or negative, at least in my perceptions about them. So first we have the plot. Basically, we have Bumblebee with a team of younger, less experienced Autobots ending up on Earth, and they have to track down all of these very dangerous Decepticon prisoners, or something along those lines. Honestly, this plot doesn't actually sound terrible to me, but it just sounds like it is missing a lot. It really feels as if they were coming at it like, okay, Prime dealt with a lot of really intense, big-scale kind of stuff, so we're going to tone down this series, make it a little bit more kid-friendly, simplistic, and all of that. I mean, basically the plot idea doesn't sound horrible, but the way they seem to be handling it seems like it's pretty bad. Also, from what we know, it looks like the show is at least going to be 2 seasons, and we could probably guess those seasons are going to each run like 26 or 25 episodes. But the description of Season 1 that was given sounds a lot like, we're going to get to see Bumblebee track down all these Decepticon bandits and stuff like that, and, he's going to have to learn to grow with this new team, and Optimus is going to be developing as well, and then once Season 2 comes around, we're going to get to see the big stuff. So I hope you guys can get what I'm saying here, but I really don't like those kind of descriptions of shows. Basically, it sounds like we're going to have 26 episodes of a bunch of filler crap, and we're going to take a really long time to really develop these ideas. So you can wait till episode 27 or the beginning of season 2 where things are actually going to pick up. And I've seen other shows do this, especially certain animes, and sometimes it's done well. I don't want to give the impression that I'm totally against slow pacing. I mean, some of my favorite shows of all time are really slow-paced shows. I know I've referenced Fullmetal Alchemist before in some of my other videos, and I'm talking about the 2003 series when I say this. It's a really slow-paced show, especially in the first 26 episodes. You have a lot of bad guys in the background, little hints that are going to be tied up later on in the show, things like that. But in the meantime, you have all this really, really important character development that makes you care about the characters so much when they do go through serious traumatic experiences, and I think that's really important. A different show that isn't an anime, it's a live-action show, and probably isn't a very well-known one, is called Babylon 5. It also did this, like the first 2 seasons were just a lot of building up for seasons 3 and 4, which were really the climax of the show. And it did have a lot of filler in there, but it didn't just feel like we had a season 1 and 2 of absolutely nothing going on. There was still good stuff, stuff that wasn't just really predictable and bland happening. They're saying we're going to get a lot of character development from characters like Sideswipe and Strongarm and Bumblebee, earlier on in the show. But I just don't see it being all that great. Maybe Bumblebee's will be, but the way this show's being handled overall seems really generic, so I don't think it's going to be anything that great or fun to watch. I think it's going to be really predictable. Nothing really original, just a lot of regurgitated cartoon archetypes, and I think that's kind of sad. I would say that brings me into the next section, and that would be the characters overall. I already touched on that a little bit, and I'm not really positive about them. Once again, it seems like they just have a lot of stereotypical personalities. I know a lot of people hate Bumblebee, and I'm not the biggest Bumblebee fan in the world, but I don't think he looks that bad. I think it looks like he could actually have some good development. Sideswipe to me seems kind of stereotypical. Maybe I'm going against the grain a little bit there, but he just doesn't seem that great. Strongarm also seems like stereotypical, and Grimlock, man, oh man. I'm not liking anything about this new Grimlock so far, and what we see of the Decepticons too, they just don't seem that great. I'm not getting any vibes of like the great chemistry we've seen in Beast Wars, or even later on in Prime. Prime was a pretty good show, but I thought was dry at points, but Season 3 came around, and Wheeljack, Ultra Magnus started getting some pretty cool development. They had conflict with each other, so even that kind of broke away from some of its dry roots. Now I do think it's possible we could see kind of predictable, annoying characters in Season 1, but maybe when Season 2 comes around they'll step it up and start doing some different things with them. I guess that's a possibility, but if Season 1 does really well, they might just want to keep it in the comfort zone. As far as the characters' voices, personally, I think the voice acting sounds really good in the show. I like the voice they have for Bumblebee. I don't like the voice they have for Grimlock, but it does sound good, if you know what I mean. Even Bisk, he's annoying as heck, but he sounds pretty good. But I gotta say, it's the writing that kills it. The writing in this show is just really, really corny. At least from what we could see. It just comes off bad. If you have a great ensemble of voice actors, but you have a bad writing team, or a writing team who's basically, I guess, making it bad because they think that's what appeals to kids, then there's nothing you could really do with that. It's the same thing if you have great writers but bad voice actors. There's not a whole lot you can do. You have to have a really good balance, and I don't see this show having that. That kind of brings us into the overall tone of the show. It's pretty apparent from what we can tell. It looks a lot more lighthearted than what we had seen in Transformers Prime, or even what we had seen by the end of Transformers Animated. It looks closer to what we seen in the beginning of Transformers Animated, but even that seemed more serious than what we're seeing with this new show. Personally, I'm not really crazy about that, but at the same time, we just had Prime, which was a really cool show, had a more dark tone for Transformers, so it doesn't bother me a whole lot. I'm willing to take a series with a lighter tone. It does bother me that this is the sequel to Prime and it has such a different tone, but we still have stuff like the Transformers comics, still have the older Transformers series, the good ones like Beast Wars, have that tone that a lot of us like, so I'm not going to complain too much there. RID, the original one, sort of had this tone, so it wasn't terrible for all that it was. Maybe this won't be. As far as the setting, it's no surprise that it's on Earth again. I was kind of hoping they might have a show on Cybertron, because it's been like 10 years since we've actually had one completely on Cybertron, like Beast Machines. But, what can you expect? It is pretty disappointing. It's really repetitive at this point, but it looks like that's what we're going to get. As far as the action, I actually think the action for this show looks really cool so far. Yeah, I don't really like the way some of the effects look, like the lasers and the way they hit things, it just isn't that convincing. But, what we see of the fighting, it's kind of cool. I kind of like how they're doing, like, split screens and stuff like you'd see in Teen Titans. I really liked that show, and it looks like the action might be kind of similar to that. So, it's way more cartoony than the action was in Transformers Prime, but I think it looks kind of cool. For the show we're getting, it doesn't look that bad. Then we have the general look or animation of the show. Personally, I'm not crazy about that much at all. I don't think it's the worst they could have went with, but I really don't like the way it looks. Still, if the show turns out to be good enough, I can overlook the style of animation they're using and appreciate it for what it's worth. But I'm not a big fan of the way the transformations look. I don't like the way the lasers look. They just don't have a lot of effect or flash to them. You know, they don't look that cool. I mean, I've seen cooler stuff from effects programs, you know, that I can get on the computer. It doesn't look that great. So, I mean, once again, it is something that I could overlook, but it doesn't help the already negative expectations I have for this show. So overall, I'm not going to totally disregard the show altogether. You know, before any episodes have aired, I am going to watch it. I would like to review the episodes and come at it with an open mind, but really, the show just doesn't look that good to me. I'm getting the vibes of something that doesn't go outside of the box much, stays in the comfort zone, and basically tries to sell toys. You know, doesn't try to tell a greater story like we seen Beast Wars, or as much as some people hate it, Beast Machines did. You know, it's just something that plays it safe and will probably end up being a very forgettable Transformers series. Now, who knows, maybe Season 1 will be horrible and will be like all the things we're predicting, and maybe they could really step it up in Season 2. I have seen other shows do that. You know, the first season of the show might not be that great, and the second season's incredible, and, you know, the following seasons are really good as well. But from what I can tell so far, it just doesn't look that great. But that's just my thoughts on it. If you guys have different opinions on the show, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. You know, don't feel pressured at all if you totally disagree with me and you really like the look of the show. I mean, I totally understand that. Well, maybe I don't, but I'm not going to hate you for it. If you do agree with me or are even more negative than I am about this show, then you can leave that in the comment section below and try not to hate on the people who do like the show. And that's about all I have for this one. You guys who haven't already done so can feel free to check out my other commentary videos on Robots in Disguise. I don't have that many of them, but I do plan on doing more in the future, especially when, you know, we start getting episodes of this show. But in the meantime, you can check out my Transformers 5 commentary videos, my Transformers 4 commentary, my general Transformers discussion topics, or just my Transformers stop motion videos. Once again, I have over 20 of them on the channel, so it's a lot to watch there. Video's kind of dragging on, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Stay tuned for more Transformers commentary videos. Thanks for watching, and have a good one, guys.